He did have a big heart. He had aerial quality that he would never forget where he came from. The man from even when he was in the Bronx in hard times was great. He had genuineness and truthfulness, but it was a strong personal style, yes, of course. He was from New York. He was rough. She married Bobby when she was 18. Darin. She had already been through a lot. This should never happen to a child. He may not live past 30. Two hurt people who are trying to get better something whole. But lies can get out. They're meant to protect from damage, keep safe. Bobby's anger reached a boiling point, things that didn't mean anything. Sandy's pain that meant everything was hidden in silence. Their son spent years putting it all together. What happened in real life? And when Heffinally told everyone what happened, it was much darker than anyone thought. Sandra Dee was born on June 23, 1942, in Bayonne, New Jersey, and it looked like her life was going downhill before she even knew how childhood should feel. Her mom, Mary Duvin, had a job as a secretary and was expecting at the same time. And she gave birth by herself one day in a bathroom in the hospital without family nearby her. It was just Mary and me for a while. Alex Suck, a little girl who would later be known as Sandra Dee until 1951, when Mary got married. A man from Russia named Eugene Duvin from 1898 whose state changed everything. She was only 4 years old when Hugh went into their house and soon Eros, a child turned into something she could never get away. She was 5 years old. Already being sexually abused by him, in the very same room where her mom faked to sleep a few feet away. Every night, she slept with her mother. My stepfather. No one could be alone, and safety, and there's no way out. She would Sandra talk about it now, not years from now, but at that time, she carried it alone while the world saw a cute little girl with bright eyes, and no one thought of the real reason for her smile. As time went on, the abuse got worse. By 8, it got worse and she was still being abused. Stuck in that small space between them apartment every night. This kept going until Eugene died in 1956, and Sandra was 9 years old. The stress made itself deep into her, and by age 12, she took up anorexia. She was 5 feet 4 inches, but was only 80 pounds. The doctors tried to offer to help by giving her amphetamines to encourage her to eat. Not knowing that they were making an addiction more likely. That would always be after her. Her mother found out about the abuse but picked cruelly denying help instead of giving it. She told Sandra that she had wooed her. My stepfather. Then she made her do it like money didn't matter, child modeling more than making sure her daughter is safe. By age 8, Sandra was photographed for Teen Life and keeping the house clean. She made $78,000 years, but she couldn't do anything about it. Over any of it. The one her mother took everything. Sandra was getting in, but her mom kept pushing her, not willing to listen to anything but hearing money coming in. The way what Mary did made things worse. She didn't just pretend not to believe Sandra, she did not think about it at all. Even when Sandra spoke to her about it before Mary died in 1988, she said again, everything. She said it again. A mean thought. You wooed him. That lie broke Sandra over and over, leaving she felt bad about something she did. Never asked for. In light of that statement, Sandra had a hard time as a kid. With eating disorders, drinking, and feeling down. She was hooked on the amphetamines, began at 12 and stayed there. With her for a long time. Afterwards had kidney failure in 2000 and had dialysis for 4 years before passing away in 2005 at age 62. Her son Drew finally told the whole truth in his 1994 book called Dream Lovers, and only then did everyone knows how much pain she was in. That gave her a Hollywood glow. Her being a model had already becoming a bad dream long before Hollywood found her. When she was 4, her mom pushed get her to become a model in New York City. She was putting on 50 fashion shows a week and getting $100 every day. In the early 1950s, that was a lot of money. It would cost more than $1,000 a day now. She never got the money, though. It went to her mom every night, and went back home to the same fear. When after years had passed, she talked about it, she said she was almost ready to end her life. Her body was used to staying still. Little. She didn't even know how to eat. After being forced into like a child, she had to learn how to get food. By 1956, she had $75,000, which is almost $870,000 today, and none of it made her pain go away. Hershey started her journey to Hollywood when she was 12 years old. One picture shoot caught the eye of Albert Zugsmith, a director, and she signed a deal with Universal Studios. Her first movie was Until They Sail. In 1957, when she was 14 years old. Even though the mother lied about her age to keep the child away, rules for work. Her mom was in charge of everything, every choice, every payment, and every second. Sandra was already working as a lawyer, but it was never okay for her to be a child, and the stress only got worse. Stronger as Hollywood started to say her. At age 16, she played the lead in The Reluctant, made their debut in 1958 with Rex Harrison. Critics said she was innocent. She had no idea that she weighed 82 pounds and was taking amphetamines every day to keep going. It was also her hiding black eyes that looked like makeup, wounds from her stepfather's beatings for a long time before the lights of Hollywood hit her face. The company liked how sweet she was, but behind closed doors, she was having to fight sickness, fear, and Ash never got away from being alone. Her big in 1959, There Was a Break. She turned into the face-off youth through Gig and A Summer Place. She got a Golden Globe for Best Actress. That same year, a bright newcomer. But it cost her a lot to be successful. She made 18 movies between 1958 and 1963. In 5 years. She passed out on set more than once because she had lost 90 pounds. She used amphetamines to stay awake. To get drunk and fall asleep. Her mother kept a close eye on her. Cash. Her life went by quickly, but she was falling apart on the inside. Her Tammy, a lot of people liked her works. Tammy sang Tell Me True in 1961, and Tammy N in 1963. The doctor gave her $250,000 for every movie, but she never saw the cash. Every dollar she got, her mom kept. Sandra had to work nonstop, and she felt bad even as she smiled for the cameras, feeling empty and stuck. She later admitted it. Her fame had been pushed upon her by her mother, husband, and she felt locked up in her own home. Good luck. A trip to Rome in 1962 put her in touch with Troy Donahue. There the link was strong, and for a moment in a world that had been cold since she was a child. But when her mom found out that she broke up with him by cutting, tried to stay away from Sandra, Troy. At age 19, Sandra in pain and fell down. She tried to take pills to kill her. The world has never heard about that time, but it made the place where her mental wounds got too heavy to hide. Her marriage with Bobby Darin added even more. Listen to her story. They shot If a Maine in 1962, when she was 4 months old. Pregnant. In order to keep her good name, a plan was set up by the studio. An abortion. It took place in silence and she shouldn't have, and it hurt her for years. She hid the pain and carried it by herself. Everything was okay because Hollywood asked for a perfect picture. By 1963, she was getting worse and worse. The studios didn't give up. She kept falling apart. Amphetamines kept her out of bed. She was drunk and no one helped her quit it. I'd Be her last big hit. Rather Be Rich came out in 1964, at all, and she was already going away. Hershey had worse anorexia than ever before. Often turned down food on set. In charge fought with her. Crew members were worried about her. Her job slowly went away, and her health also got better. She got more less social, more vulnerable, and more she was too busy with everything she had made it. She fell slowly at first. It was almost quiet, but then everything started to slip right away. It was 1966. When movie companies started to move away from telling her in a whisper that she was not dependable, and she worries about how she went to meetings while being sleepy, shaky, or not at all. It was said that the drinking got worse, and pills started to show up of her daily life. By 1967, she got tuned the set of the movie Rosie Drunk, and that was the moment when everything broke. She lost her job and was sent home. The word got around quickly. The girl who had used to rule the teen box office now had a hard time getting even a small TV guest spots. It looked like the whole business had turned its back on her, and the closed door pushed her further in. An addiction. Her split from Bobby Darin made her feel even more alone, and soon she was dealing with despair, anorexia, and the feeling that she was going away from the world. In the late 1960s, the same girl who used to make $75,000 as not much work was being done by the child figure, seeing Hollywood go away while her health slowly got worse. The Rosie's shooting turned into a shadow. She couldn't get away because it was proven what the companies were already scared of. She was having a hard time. They knew that she was off balance because of her problem. They put her on a blacklist without telling anyone. When she tried to get better, the room she walked into with there was no more faith when she saw the name was said. She tried to get any job she could get, but the jobs didn't fix what was wrong. Her having an eating problem made things worse. The shrinking of her body was seen as a danger, and the bosses were afraid she might not get through whole shoots. Herod was bad for his image, and even when she tried to get in touch with the movie business had already moved on. It broke her heart because she wanted to do the work. Her goal was to show that she could still shine, but she's having problems made each step harder. She tried again with a play in 1973. It's called The Dumb Blonde. It was her chance to get back up, her opportunity to feel the lights as you stand on stage once more. Her body just couldn't keep up with her will. She was only 76 pounds because she had been anorexic for years and lack of food. One night during the show, she fell in front of the people there. People let out gasps, and the curtain dropped. She was taken to the hospital right away and told they had serious kidney damage. She said she needed to learn how to again. That moment showed everything she had tried to hide. It showed how deeply the illness had cut into her life, and that was the end of her chance to really make things right. The fee too high on her body, and the fall was a painful memory of how far she had gotten away from her days when she was America's sweetheart. Her last the movie came out in 1983. It was named Lost. And the part felt too much like her real life because she was an amateur who was drunk and trying to hold on to a fragile thing. She was 41 years old and $5,000 was a very small amount of money for 2 weeks of work. For someone who used to be a major name in Hollywood. The movie didn't do well. Waves. After it was over, she stepped away from the business almost completely. She said she felt like a has-been one time who was never there. And that admission bought everything that someone who she knew her hopes and dreams had died a long time ago. Before she was prepared to let them go. After that, she lived quietly and fought health problems and pulling away from the public eye. It was the last time I lost her face showed up on the screen, ending the finished a job that should have gone on for a lot longer. During the 1980s and in the 1990s, she showed up here and there on TV shows, including a small part in 1989, there was a soap show. But she was already live off of $800 a month from Social Security ease of use. To make things even better, she sold sign items cost $10 each at Fan the Rules. The woman had once been loved all over the world, now spent her later years spent mostly alone. Her world grew smaller as her health kept getting worse. Fade. And she stayed at home a lot. From cams that couldn't get before enough of her. It broke our hearts. Change from teen princess to quiet being alone. Also, it showed how harsh Hollywood might be once it makes up its mind someone is no longer useful. There was one time that might have made her different story. It was 1978 when the makers of Grease gave her $50,000 for a small role as Tammy. It would have been a nostalgic nod to her heritage, but she changed it. Slow down. At the time, she weighed 110 pounds and thought she looked fat after getting better after anorexia. She saw herself had been hurt for so long that she couldn't see herself the way her fans did. Her. She felt ashamed, not good enough. Andy was afraid she wouldn't look good on screen. She told him no. Not because she wasn't interested in the chance, but because her inner fights drowned her out. Being sure of himself, the deal fell through, and it took away one last chance to come back. The fame she used to have sunted hard. Sandra's life was full. Darin's story is full of sadness, has been through its own storms before they met. He was born on May 14, 1936. Inside a poor house in the Bronx. His mom, Nina Casado, was only 16 years old. To keep her safe, her family made up a story that went on for decades. Bobby is now old. Thought his grandmother was his mother, his aunt was his sister. The truth, nothing about his father was ever told to him. This secret stayed with him through his whole life, feeling like there wasn't anything important there. It shaped him in ways he didn't talk about, fueling his desire to become famous enough to get past where he started. When her rheumatic fever when he was 8 years old. It attacked his heart and made him weak. A doctor told his family that he might not pass 16 years old. Bobby heard what they said. It set him on fire. That wouldn't go out. Find out. He put more effort into it than anyone else was there because he thought time was running out. Between the ages of 8 and 13, he went through 4. The sickness came back in big waves. He went to school, felt pain, and lived with the having a sense that each day is important. It was fear that made people work hard. What a rush. He meant to leave his mark. Before the timer ran out. In 1958, at 22, he wrote and recorded Splish Splash. It all began with a bet between DJ Murray and the K. Bobby wrote it in an hour, and got to number 3 on the pop charts and number 2 on the R&B charts. It got more than 1 million copies sold and Seto started chain reaction. Soon he came after it with Plain Jane and Queen of the Hop, songs he wrote by himself while dealing with his heart problem. He kept going because I Don't Wanna Waste Time pushed him forward all the time. Then the year 1959 changed his life. His What Kind of Mac the Knife stayed at 9 weeks at the top. 2 were sold. Million sales and 2 Grammys. Prizes, such as Record of the Year and Best New Artist. He was 23 years old and the Sands' youngest main act in Las Vegas with a $1.5 million deal. Happiness did not come free, though. He had passed out on stage 17 by 1960. Times. He often needed air between the performances. His body was getting worse, but his drive wouldn't slow down. In 1961, he was in come September and stepped into fame as an actor. He agreed to a salary of $200,000 plus half the movie's gross points, making around $700,000. At that time, he liked Sandra Dee when she was 18. He was 24. Their love story began on the set of Portofino, in Italy. It began with a fake scene from a wedding. Bob asked for a real hug and kiss. Sandra turned him down 16 times. For the reason that she was shy, scared, and dealing with anorexia. She did a 17th take. I finally kissed him. The moment felt in camera, but when she wasn't there, she was scared, and Bobby had a lot of stress and misunderstanding. Her weakness, he pulled her closer, and she fought back. He was pushed even more. They stayed up late. We talked late into the night. He wished to understand her. She wished to believe him. Their bond grew quickly and took many forms. By love, fear, and the need to be with someone who did not want to leave. He asked her on October 30, 1960, just 4 months ago after they met. Mary is Sandra's mom. I had no faith in him at all. She asked for a $200,000 deal before the wedding. It was Bobby was so eager to marry Sandra that I signed it without reading it first. That by signing added a lasting tension to how they were together. Mary thought it was to keep safe. Bobby thought it was an insult. Sandra felt stuck between the two of them. Though around them, pressure slowly built up. They escaped on December 1, 1960, in Lizzie, New Jersey. The service only 4 minutes long. Sandra had on a borrowed dress. Friends filled in for as witnesses. Mary was shocked when she heard the news. Passed out outside the building. The wedding was short, sad, and full off with chaos. Sandra said she felt afterward, I feel both scared and safe. It was a strange mix that made them who they were. Friendship. The check dress, the rite that was rushed and kept secret, all of it showed how intense things were already, having them move in different ways. It was their first night at Bobby's Hollywood, a house that showed neither of them were ready to face. Sandra got cold during being close. The pain she had been through, she was stuck because she had been abused as a child. Bobby had always been sure of himself. When it came to women, I felt helpless. Andy was afraid of being turned down again. There was some space between them. Another house that should have been a safe place made it a place where things aren't said. Fears and more silence. In March 1961, they told everyone they were going to be parents. Behind Sandy had an abortion behind the scenes in May. It was personal, painful, and it's terrible for your emotions. She had a bleeding for 3 days. Bobby took the blame. Sue had taken a step back. They were already married, stressed, started to fall apart. Still, I tried to act like the golden age of Hollywood. 2 people out in public, but at home, everything seemed weak. In 1963, Bobby Darin felt like everything inside him seemed twisted when he saw Sandra Dee have fun with Peter Fonda on the set of You and the Doctor, Tammy. The size of it was only a laugh, but it hit Bobby with like proof of something he already knows feared. It was not an affair. However, thought quickly until he was sure Sandra was cheating on her husband. He replied quickly. The doctor they saw was called Dr. Judd Marmer and told him to tell Sandrato split up with him the next day. Suannie heard about it and took a flight to New York in a worry. She talked to Bobby through. He hid his tears and pretended not to know what was going on. He said it was just a mistake they made up, but she felt something had started to crack. That's when she began drinking vodka right from the bottle to try to calm the storm that jealousy had taken over their home. As time went on, their life and loss, everything got heavy in Vegas. Bobby as Sandra was forced to follow a strict, which she had to go to every 2 morning show, always looking nice and happy, but the weight of her feelings she carried, she had a hard time keeping herself together, and she began showing up drunk. Once she couldn't hide it at night. She yelled, "He saw from the crowd," and Bobby snapped back at her in front of everyone. Some people were screaming, which shocked the crowd. That kind of moment turned into patterns that kept coming back to them, putting more stress on their marriage and less thick until the cracks could no longer be seen. Hide. People lived inside those cracks, something even more profound. Sarah said a close friend that Bobby wanted to get married. Tough being close she couldn't give because the thoughts of what her stepfather did, Eugene Duvon, had done to her since she was 5 years old, never left her. She didn't tell Bobby, so he thought she was turning him down. He meant for him to. That mistaken idea kept cutting at both of them, farther apart than either of them thought how to fix. After many years, she told her son the whole truth, and he finally got why she seemed to fold into himself whenever she felt squished or scared. When Dodd was born in December 16, 1961, it looked like they finally, marriage had something stable to hold on to. But by 1963, Bobby's heart attacks came on quickly like shadows, 3 in a row, which made him feel like safety. He got stronger in his control. He worried about leaving Dodd without Adad. He became more afraid of her family and those close to Sandra, putting stress on a relationship that was already going down. Then April 1966 came along, the night that broke everything that was left. She was at a party in Hollywood that was put on written by Anthony Newley and Joan Collins. Shay talked to Warren Beatty for 5 minutes at the table. That was all it took. Boyd from across the room, I saw it and let hurry up and be jealous again. He called Dr. Marmer and said the split was starting right away. Sandra did her best. I tried to explain, but he cut her off right away. It hurt really quickly and cold. The chatter pages picked up the story, and Sandra later told Bobby that he could turn off his love as quickly as turning on a light change. That night was her 24th birthday, and then everything fell apart. Before they had a chance to cool down. After that, Sandra tried to call him, but he hung up every time. By March 1966, they asked for a formal separation, citing cruel to the mind. She was given a $250,000 settlement, a huge amount back then, but lost chief taking care of Dodd. The court case pushed. She drank more, just like Bobby used. Tosh used her drinking to get control. She only Sunday through Thursday, she saw her son. Made her think of what she had lost. There when the divorce was finalized in March 1967, finishing a book. They weren't both strong enough to stay alive. Only a few months after they broke up, Bobby married again to Claudine Long, Andy Williams' ex-wife. The way Sandra found out about it was the news stories. She was crushed by the shock, and it was said she tried to overdose soon after. It seemed like both of them were spinning around out of control. His hasty remarriage and the quick proof showed how unstable he was become. When Sandra had her fall, how bad her pain was. During the custody fight, Bobby put a lot of weight on to get sole custody. Sandra is drinking out of Dodd. The decision hurt her more than she thought because missing daily access to her son made her feel even better. Broken. People in Hollywood whispered about how hard it was on Dodd's feelings as Hugh was pushed between two parents who still they loved each other but couldn't be together, being mean to each other. Sandra said afterward that the choice about custody was one of the worst things that ever happened to her through. Even after the split, both of them kept something inside putting them back together. Boyd went to see Sandra every night. They bought things. To buy homes in Bear. They talked about a fresh start, but envy still lived on Bobby's skin, and the trust too many things had broken down between them. Times. They planned to start over. However, they didn't care how much they couldn't get past the damage. And all of this was on top of Sandra's trauma in childhood. Still buried in nothing. The book by Darin shows that Eugene Duvon had hurt her since she was a child. 5 years into being a teenager. Sandy's mother Mary knew about it but did nothing about it, going after Hollywood dreams instead of keeping her daughter safe. This hurts kept secret for many years. It was Sandra told Dodd she was dead inside after the threats. The violence changed everything about her life. From her eating disorder that started at age 9 to her drinking to her not being able to trust love. Fans saw Asta for goodness. The child was never seen. Who had been hurt before they became famous. Bobby also had his own secrets. He never met his real dad. His mom, Nina, and her grandma Polly took care of the truth is being kept secret. He thought as a child that rheumatic fever could kill you young. A fever that made him mentally distant and antsy. He believed that life could go on at any time, and that desire pushed him forward but stopped getting close to someone. Using DNA tests in 2020 showed that his dad's name was Elio Milton Lipar, who passed away in 1965, a long time before the truth came out. Bobby wants to know his anger, his rage, and his lack of control because of the fear he had felt since he was a child. When they got divorced, Sandra finally told Bobby everything about Darin 1968. She made a tape of it. Bobby cried and said he would have. That's right. They started to make plans to get married again because they loved each other after everything, but his heart the situation got worse. He passed away in 1973. Before they could try again, the tapes that were found years later showed how much they cared about each other and how much did they lose because they didn't know how to talk about their hurt when it mattered. Hollywood played a part in not telling the truth. Sandra is a good girl, picture was worth a lot of money. Studio One kept Tammy and Gidget safe. Series, which made her smile while hiding things like eating problems, abortions, and an addiction. It was said that she would possible effects on her job if she told something real. Her mother backed the hide it, picking fame over her protecting my kid. All of this pushed Sandra more deeply into her private struggles until she could hardly stand. Later, Darin said that both of his parents were hurt too badly to live together. Sandra had past hurts that made her frozen. From the inside. While Bobby was living with the fear of dying young and the pain of leaving each other, they loved each other, but too many things were hidden from them. They drowned in them. On December 11, 1973, Bobby went to Cedars-Sinai Hospital to get it was his 6th open heart surgery. A recent trip to the dentist without drugs had caused a dangerous infection that made him even weaker. Surgeons did work for they tried to save him for over 6 hours, but they never woke up. He passed away on December 20 at age 37. His body was given Tashens the way he asked for it. It was Sandra held his hand there while the machine stopped talking. Sandra's life went downhill. After he died. In 1975, she was having a quart of scotch every day. Her abuse as a kid, pressure from Hollywood, and years of hiding her pain put her in a tight spot. She had been thin-skinned since she was 9. By 2005, she was in the hospital for lung infections and kidney problems, being only 80 pounds. She passed away at age 62. Her take care of were Dodd's last words. Herself. Her whole life had been she was changed by tragedy and never fully got away. When Bobby passed away, the whole $1.25 million went to Dodd. The mother of Bobby, Nina, who had raised him and got nothing in return. She lived in poverty, selling photos with autographs to get by and refused to show up on TV. Watch TV despite offers. The cash didn't help anything. It only brought out the breakups in the family. Sandy S. Mary, her mother, left her own statement. Before she passed away in 1988. She said she knew about the abuse but did nothing about it. To keep herself safe. That silence made Sandra's whole life. It led to feel the drinking, trouble, fear, and shame. It followed Sandra into her marriage. And given to the next group after reading the stories. Not covered. After many years, Hollywood made a better version of Bobby and Sandra's life with the 2004 movie about her Across the Sea. The movie left out a lot of the truth. It took away the pain. Harmed less and hid what was really going on as problems.